keep the abominable activity far away with the help of Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga means Arjun took it as intelligence, and he took it that one should keep away this ghastly work of warfare by the use of proper discrimination. But this is what was Arjun's interpretation, and that's why he got little confused that why then you are engaging me in such abominable action of fighting. I want to renounce, so why don't you allow me to renounce and go to forest? So better perform this type of renunciation. That's what's first two verses Arjun was expressing his confusion, and then third to ninth verse Krishna talks about Krishna talks to Arjun that karma yoga is better than jnana yoga, especially for Arjun. So Krishna says, yes, there are two types of people, those who are karma yogis and jnana yogi. So, but if somebody just takes to premature renunciation, that is not proper. Simply by abstaining from the karma action and similar immediately takes a renunciation, especially renounces all the activities, that is not proper. It is discouraged by Krishna. In fact, he says that giving up activities is very unnatural. That was the fifth verse. Because one moment also one cannot live without performing any action. On the other hand, Krishna speaks very strongly that if somebody, he may refrain from action, but his mind is always hunting for sense objects, such a person is called as mithyachari, a hypocrite. So better that be a sincere person and control the active senses by mind, and in this way perform the activities, that is called as karma yoga. So I think seventh verse we had done, no? I'm just not remembering. We had done
Yes,
seventh
Guruji.
verse.
Yes, Guruji. Seventh verse was done.
So we'll begin with the eighth verse now. Please recite.
Mayuresh Prabhu.
तो 10 कितना 10 से शुरू करना है 10 ना हाँ 8 वर्स ओके नियतं कुरु कर्म त्वं
नियतं कुरु कर्म त्वं
कर्म जायो हि कर्मण
कर्मज्यायो ह्यकर्मणः
शरीर यत्र च ते
शरीर यत्रापि च ते
न प्रसीदेत अकर्मण
न प्रसिद्धेदकर्मणः.
Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work.
Yeah.
There are many.
Wait. So in this verse, Krishna is encouraging Arjun that so do your prescribed duty, niyatam karma, because it is better than renunciation of action, that is karma sannyas. Don't just take karma sannyas, don't give up activities, but perform your prescribed duty. Because even to maintain our body, we need to do some work. So in the purport now, Prabhupada again continues to slash kind of pseudo religionists who give up working and simply make a show of meditation. Okay, so please read purport now.
There are many pseudo meditators who misrepresent themselves as belonging to high parentage and great professional men who falsely pose that they have sacrificed everything for the sake of advancement in spiritual life. Lord Krishna did not want Arjun to become a pretender. Rather, the Lord desired that Arjuna perform his prescribed duties as set forth for Kshatriya. Arjuna was a householder and military general, and therefore it was better for him to remain as such and perform his religious duties as prescribed for the householder Kshatriya. Such activities gradually cleanse the heart of the mundane man and free him from material contamination. So-called renunciation for purpose of maintenance is never approved by the Lord, nor by any religious scripture. After all, one has to maintain one's body and soul together by some work. One should not be given up capriciously without purification of materialistic propensities. Anyone who is in the material world is certainly possessed of the impure propensities for lording it over material nature, or in other words, for sense gratification. Such polluted propensities have to be cleared. Without doing so, through prescribed duties, one should never attempt to become a so-called transcendentalist, renouncing work and living at cost of the others.
Yes. So we see in this world, everybody has got tendency to lord it over material nature. And in order to enjoy or to exercise his lordship over material nature, a living entity has to work. Now what Shastras do is that, okay, you want to enjoy, so, and for that you want to work. So Shastras give us regulated way of enjoyment and work. Now, if somebody gives up work altogether, thinking that, okay, this work is very troublesome process, but his tendency to enjoy is not purified. He has strong tendency to enjoy, but he wants to give up the work. Then such a person, what happens that he tries to make a show of renunciation for enjoyment. So renunciation is not meant for enjoyment of oneself. Renunciation is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. But if one is taking to renunciation for one's own enjoyment, then what happens? He becomes a pretender. So that's why Krishna is telling Arjun, because your adhikar is of karma, you don't have adhikar for jnana yet. Of course, Arjun was beyond all this, but still, as a ordinary kshatriya, as an ordinary householder, Krishna is advising Arjun. So that's why for you, work is better than renunciation, because you are not on the jnana platform by which you can renounce your prescribed duties. So one who has reached to the jnana platform, he can renounce his prescribed duties. But it's a very advanced stage, because one has to be fully free from propensity for material enjoyment before such renunciation. So Arjun was concerned that by working, he will develop material attachments. If you do work in this world, a lot of material attachments are develops. And the work is not that, once it is done, it is over. No, it produces so many seeds of desires, right? कौन सा भी काम करते हैं, work करते हैं, तो further and further desires come up. And then they impel us to work further. And in this way, it goes on and on and on, isn't it? Where is the end to such a work? Work, bondage, desires, work, bondage, desires, these all keep on happening. So, so Arjun, before this battle, especially fears the reactions that will follow such work. But Krishna is telling, what you are saying is true about ordinary work. But if, this ordinary work certainly entangles one in the material world. But when the work is done with the spirit of karma yoga, then one carries it towards, not towards bondage, but towards liberation. Ordinary work, certainly this is very true for ordinary work. If one keeps on working and then there are further desires produced which impel one to work further, and whole thing overall causes the bondage to this material world, the cycle of action and reaction. But Krishna says that that is true for ordinary work, but if you work in the spirit of karma yoga, then that work doesn't bind one to material world, but that work leads one to liberation. Yes. So now the next verse is very, so in the purport, Prabhupada is very much stressing that as long as one has the propensities for enjoyment, one should not try to become so-called renounced person. So one should try to engage oneself, one's senses in karma yoga. Okay, so now the very famous verse. Please recite 9th verse.
Pritish Prabhu.
Yes. यज्ञातात् कर्मणो अन्यत्र
Yajnarthat karmanoonyatra
लोको अयं कर्मबन्धनः
lokoyam
कर्म
karma bandhanaha
तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय
tadartham karma
तदर्थं कर्म
kaunteya
कौन्तेय
मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर
mukta sangaha
मुक्तसङ्गः
samachara.
समाचर।
Translation: Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage.
Yeah. So this is now telling that this fear of Arjun is there. If I work, then it will cause a bondage. And Krishna approves this concept. Yes, one has to work, but work done for Vishnu, that has to be done. Otherwise, general work, ordinary materialistic work, certainly it will create a bondage to this material world. So, yajnarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Without performing sacrifices, without performing actions as sacrifice to Vishnu, person becomes bound by the action. Karma bandhan, it creates karma bandhan. So Vishnu is the object of sacrifices, and then yajna artha. And why Vishnu artha? Because yajna vai Vishnuhu, Vishnu is the central object of yajna. So specifically it refers to sacrifice for Vishnu. So that's what Prabhupada says in purport. You will see it ahead, it will come in purport. Tadartham karma kaunteya. So not only just keep performing prescribed duties, but you should do prescribed duties for Krishna's satisfaction, for the satisfaction of Vishnu, or for the sake of sacrifice. By that what will happen? Mukta sangha samachara. In this way you will become free from bondage. Also it can alternatively mean you can become free from the results of actions. You can become free from reactions. Okay, please read purport.
Yes. Since one has to work even for the simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duties for a particular social position and quality are so made that the purpose can be fulfilled. Yajna means Lord Vishnu or sacrificial performances. All sacrificial performances also are meant for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. The Vedas enjoin Yajna vai Vishnu. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yajna or directly serves Lord Vishnu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yajna as it is prescribed in this verse. The Varnashrama institution also aims at satisfying Lord Vishnu. Varnashrama acharavata purushena parapuman Vishnur aradhyate. Vishnu Puran 3.8.8. Therefore, one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other work done in this material world will be a cause of bondage, for both good and evil work have their reactions, and any reaction binds the performer. Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu, and while performing such activities, one is in a liberated stage. This is the great art of doing work, and in the beginning, this process requires very expert guidance. One should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, or under the direct instruction of Lord Krishna himself, under whom Arjun had the opportunity to work. Nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. This practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, but also gradually elevate one to transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can raise one to the kingdom of God.
Yes. So he is continuing here to tell that how this work, if it is not done for the satisfaction of Vishnu, then it will cause bondage. That's why one should work for the sake of sacrifice, as a sacrifice for the pleasure of Vishnu. Now, Prabhupada says in the purport, so that one has to understand this first point is that the goal of all Vedic sacrifices is to satisfy Vishnu. Yajno vai Vishnu, So Vishnu is the chief objective for all the yajnas. That is the first point. Second point is that Prabhupada says, so if any other way also one satisfies Vishnu or performs sacrifices for the pleasure of Vishnu, both are on the same platform. So if one serves Vishnu in any other way in terms of chanting aratis and all that, or one tries to perform Vedic sacrifices for the pleasure of Vishnu, both have similar consequences, similar benefits. So so ultimately Lord Vishnu has to be satisfied through yajnas. But at the same time, such work, in fact, yeah, another point Prabhupada says also, even the goal of Varnashrama system is also to please Vishnu. So Varnashrama should be executed for pleasure of Vishnu. But at the same time, such work which is should be done for the pleasure of Vishnu, which we are so much talking about, it cannot be done whimsically. It has to be done, especially in the beginning, under the expert guidance of a devotee. If it does it whimsically, it may not bring same results. So that's why appropriate guidance is very, very important. Without proper guidance, one may end up in doing something different. So by such practice, when under the guidance one serves Lord Vishnu or sacrifice, works for the pleasure of sacrifice, yajna or Vishnu, then one will become free from bondage. Now at this point of time, because last time also there were a lot of questions, we would like to clear up many things. So we will read from this Bhurijan Prabhu's Surrender Unto Me book about what he says, because this is going to explain the entire yoga ladder now. So please pay attention. So from 3rd verse to 8th verse, they hinted at Nishkama Karma, work with both knowledge and detachment. Nishkama Karma, in other words, combines karma and jnana. So that's why you remember Prabhupada said both are interdependent with each other, karma and jnana. One cannot become, one cannot do either of the things. You remember this, what was that statement? A religion without philosophy is simply fanaticism or mental, this simply sentimentalism, but a philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So Nishkama Karma Yoga, that's why it's prescribed, because it combines both karma and jnana. So Nishkama Karma, it allows a soul to be active, but in detached way. Only karma, what happens with only karma? Person is active and also attached for the fruits. But only another is jnana. Only jnana means one is neither active nor attached, but it is very difficult proposal. So Nishkama Karma Yoga is a very good solution, midway solution by which one can be active, one can act, but at the same time become detached from the fruits, and in this way one remains protected from material entanglement. Now, higher than that is the higher stage. Just doing Nishkama Karma Yoga can be very good and can liberate one from this world. But better than that, higher than that is what? When one's knowledge increases to include the knowledge of Vishnu. And in this way, rather than becoming just detached from the fruits, one offers the activities and fruits to Lord Vishnu with devotion. And this way, Nishkama Karma Yoga leads one to bhakti. So now the question may be, what if a person is overly attached to material work, life, and cannot perform Nishkama Karma Yoga? He is too much attached to material life. He is too much desirous of enjoying his fruits of his activities. So one gets, one works very hard and one gets hard-earned salary, and one is very attached, right? For that salary, money one gets, or through business. So any work one performs, generally person is very attached. So now Krishna is describing the yoga ladder for that, beginning from the next verse, 10th verse onwards. So lowest rung, he begins with the lowest rung, ladder. So you understand the ladder. सीढ़ी जो रहता है उसका सबसे नीचे का प्लेटफॉर्म है, उससे चालू करके he is going to higher and higher. So from 10 to 16, it will describe the progressive stages of yoga ladder from karma kanda to karma yoga. So now every soul in the material world, he attempts either grossly or subtly to position himself as enjoyer and controller, isn't it? Person doesn't want to accept that Krishna is the real controller and enjoyer, but a living entity, conditioned soul in this world, he wants to become enjoyer and he wants to become controller. And this is true irrespective of whichever body one is in. Even if one is in animal bodies, still that same tendency to enjoy and control material nature is there. So ignorant animals, they also strive for pleasure, they also strive for enjoyment, but based on their limited capacity. So same way, spiritually undeveloped human beings are also on the similar platform like animals, and they want to have a lot of pleasure in material world, and in this way they act in ignorance. Now Vedas, total the Vedas, and Vedas include so many things, Puranas, Mahabharata, and all that. They have 1 lakh into 1 lakh verses. So many verses are written. Majority of these verses discuss about fruity activities, Karma Kandiya section. Especially the 4 Vedas describe a lot about Karma Kandi activities and some portion of Puranas as well. A small percentage discusses Jnana Kanda, which leads the living entities towards transcendental knowledge. So majority of the Vedas also discuss about Karma Kanda. That's why previous chapter Krishna said, that you Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna, because it all describes about Karma Kanda. But small portions like Upanishads, they speak about Jnana Kanda, that how one should go beyond this material world. So it leads living entity towards transcendental knowledge and ultimately to an understanding of Supreme Lord. So in this way, a Vedic culture, why the Vedic culture has given such a huge section of Karma Kanda? Why? Because so that tendency of living entity, to act for the satisfaction of senses, to act for sense enjoyment and to lord it over material nature will be gradually satisfied and at the same time purified. So if one is very attached, he cannot immediately be given lesson on detachment. So somewhat his tendencies of material attachments, material enjoyment can be satisfied, and slowly he becomes purified. So those people who take shelter of Vedas, what happens with them is that their material desires can be fulfilled, at the same time they get slowly purified. On the other hand, those people who don't take shelter of Vedas, they may satisfy their material desires, but they don't get purified. This is a difference. And they continue to hunt for material desires. Their material desires have no end. And in this way, they keep on enjoying. At the same time, they keep on creating more and more material desires, and they don't get purified. And in this way, a person remains bound to this material world. But somebody who takes to the shelter of Vedas, what he does, his material desires can be satisfied also. At the same time, he becomes purified. So therefore, such a high percentage of Vedic information centers around Karma Kandiya section. What is Karma Kanda basically? To perform sacrifices for better material situation. Of course, nowadays people feel that one can just work hard and get better material situation. But the Vedic way was to perform sacrifices so that one can get better material situations or reach higher planets and satisfy superior beings, that is demigod. Now to become situated under the protection of such a system, one must agree to regulate his enjoyment by descending authority of Vedic formulas. So this Karma Kandiya section also very much emphasizes on disciplining and regulating one's enjoyment. So there is no unrestricted enjoyment allowed. So, but regulated enjoyment is acceptable in Karma Kandiya section. So, one who follows this Karma Kandiya system does not simply acts as he desires. It's not that he just acts as per his desire. Feel what, no, do what feels good. That is not a proper philosophy. His mood is of subservient to Lord's order in the form of Vedas. One accept submission in front of Vedas. One becomes obedient to Vedas. Although his purpose is to attain sense gratification, still one acts in obedience to Vedas. And in this way, one becomes subservient to the Lord. Because of that, because of acting according to Vedas, despite desiring sense enjoyment, this particular element brings one to the stage of slowly getting purified, because ultimately he is following Krishna's system. Now, by following this Vedic system of sacrifice, one also implicitly accepts the principle that he is not independent. He is dependent. The way people think that, oh, what is the need of these Vedic sacrifices and all that, अरे हम अपने मेहनत के ऊपर, हम अपने बलबूते के ऊपर सब सक्सेस हासिल कर सकते हैं, सारा यश हम प्राप्त कर सकते हैं, कैसे? अपने मेहनत के बलबूते के ऊपर. What is this Vedic sacrifice and all? I don't need anybody's help. अपने जब तक अपने शरीर में शक्ति है, we can do anything. In this way, people have lot of misconception. But a person, who understand that this is not a right thing, because one may work very hard, still one may not get results, because results are in Supreme Lord's hand. We see so many people every year, they go to Kota for studying for IIT. Not everybody gets into IIT. In fact, a very small percentage of people get into IIT of that, right? Very, very small percentage of people. And it is not that others don't work hard. Others work very, very hard also. But ultimately, it depends on the Lord's sanction. So somebody who comes to this understanding that it is not sufficient that I just work hard to get a success. There has to be sanction of the superior authorities. So by that, one accepts subservience to Vedas. So in this way, one implicitly accepts the principle that one is not independent. Rather, even for material enjoyment, it depends on satisfaction of higher authorities. So Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7.32, he says that sacrifices recommended in Vedic literature for satisfaction of the demigods are a sort of inducement to the sacrificers to realize the existence of higher authorities. So in this way, generally this Karmakandi person is also good. Why? Because he at least accepts that he is not independent, but there are some superior authorities whom he has to please even for his enjoyment. It is like a child who realizes that I cannot enjoy on my own. My provision comes from the father. Father and mother are the one who are providing for me. So when he realizes that, then he tries to become obedient son. If a son thinks that no, why I need father, why I need mother, I can do myself. But then later on he'll find into great difficulty. He may run into the street. He may see that across the street there is nice garden. So he may say that, hey, I don't need father and mother. Why they are catching hands? Let me just run to the park and play over there. But then if he goes on the road, there may be many vehicles coming, and it is such a dangerous position. So child realizes that even if I want to play there in the park, I need my mother and father's help. I need their sanction. So he comes back and he says, yes, sorry, I was trying to run to the park myself, trying to cross the street myself. I was suffering, I went into the middle and so many zoop from all sides, so many vehicles were coming. My God, it was a very horrible experience. So mother, please take me now. You know, I have desire to play in that park. Please take me. So he has recognized at least, yes, he's dependent on mother. So same way, a person who comes to his senses understands that there is, superior authorities are required. And in this way, such followers, those who perform Vedic sacrifices for getting enjoyment, they are called as karmakandis. Now what happens, by gradually following the Vedic system, one may accept eternal transcendental objective to replace his temporary fruitive goals. One may understand that, array, I am trying to do so much of enjoyment, even through Vedic way, but still it is not giving me full satisfaction of the heart. So when one accepts that I am not fully getting satisfied, and why this realization may come to him? Why? Because he is accepting the process of Vedas. So he understands that yes, process of Vedas are there, but because he is following the Vedic process, so he is getting gradually purified, and that's why such understanding will develop in the person. And in this way, when one accepts that simply karma kanda cannot satisfy me, so one abandons this designation of karma kandi and tries to become a karma yogi. So he appropriately performs his duties, but then he just does them for the sake of doing duties, not to enjoy fruits. So slowly he will come to the platform of Sakama Karma Yoga to Nishkama Karma Yoga, the detached work from the platform of Jnana or knowledge. So how he comes is that this Karma Kandi person, he learns to sacrifice some of his fruits for the Supreme Lord. And in this way, although he is attached, but he sacrifices some of his work, fruits of his work for Supreme Lord. He may begin to give some charity or something for the Lord. And in this way, he gradually becomes detached from the fruits. And in this way, he slowly ascends to the next ladder, next rung in the ladder, that is called as Nishkama Karma Yoga, which is detached work. From Sakama Karma Yoga, attached work, to he becomes detached work on the platform of Jnana, knowledge. And in this way, he can go ahead and ahead. He may become fully detached from all the work also, and can go to yoga, Jnana Yoga section, and he can go upward up to the point of liberation. That is Paramatma realization. And finally, he can enter into devotional service to Krishna. That is Bhakti Yoga. So now, what decides how far he climbs on this yoga ladder? It depends on what association one is getting and what are one's desires. So based on that, it decides how far one can actually climb on the step-by-step ascension on the yoga ladder. How far one can go on yoga ladder will be dependent on these two factors. One is association, other is one's desires. Even one's desires are acquired through association only, more or less. So in this way, from chapter 3 to 6, Bhagavad Gita is describing this particular yoga ladder. Now, so this is the place, this is the process of yoga ladder, from beginning from Karma Kanda up to Bhakti Yoga. All right. Now, in addition to this step-by-step process, Krishna explains what takes place when either from the beginning of one's practices or on any stage in the ladder, one attains the association of a pure devotee, especially any devotee, especially a pure devotee, and comes to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and oneself as Krishna's servant. So whether at the beginning or at the any stage in this yoga ladder, if one comes to know Krishna is the Supreme Lord and I am his servant, and how one will come to know? By association of a devotee or by hearing discourses. Of course, they are also association only. So further, Prabhupada, that's why writes in the 2.4.34 Srimad Bhagavatam, sorry, 2.4.324 Srimad Bhagavatam purport, Prabhupada describes that the three activities of religion, economic development and sense gratification, are generally attractive for conditioned souls struggling for existence in the material world, isn't it? Everybody wants to practice some kind of religion, so that they can get some economic development, so that they can enjoy sense gratification. So such activities are very much desired by the people. Such regulated activities prescribed in the Vedas are called karmakandiya conception of life. And householders are generally recommended to follow the rules just to enjoy material propensity both in this life and in the next. So most of the people are attracted by such activities. Now, even Parikshit Maharaj, who was the great emperor of the world, he also had to exhibit karmakandi activities, but of course he was doing it only for sake of setting an example for others. That will come ahead in this next section. But by little association, Prabhupada says, by his slight association with Shukadeva Goswami, he could perfectly understand that Lord Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, Vasudev, for whom he had natural love since his birth, is everything. Parikshit Maharaj had great love for Krishna since his birth. And by association with Shukadeva Goswami, he understood that Vasudeva Sarvamahi iti, Krishna is everything. He is all in all. And in this way, he fixed his mind firmly upon Krishna, renouncing all modes of Vedic Karmakandi activities. This perfectional stage is attained by Jnani after many, many births. The Jnanis or empiric philosophers endeavoring for liberation are thousands of times better than fruity workers, Karmakandis. And out of hundreds and thousands of such Jnanis, one is a liberated factually. So Prabhupada is referring to this Chaitanya Charitamrita verse over here. So amongst many, many Karmakandis, there are some Jnanis. Among such many, many Jnanis, one is actually liberated, and out of thousands and thousands of such liberated persons, one person is rarely found who can fix his mind onto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So as soon as somebody accepts his position as servant of Krishna, although he may seemingly be on the platform of Sakama Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga level, or even may be turned as a Sakama Karma Yogi or Nishkama Karma Yogi, is no longer on the same step-by-step path as other practitioners. Because he is now a devotee, although he may not be fully realized and may still have material attachments and material desires, still he comes under the fold of devotee. And that's why we see Prabhupada terms even Sakama Karma Yogi, Nishkama Karma Yogi, and even these processes, into devotional service and devotees only. All these people are considered to be devotees. Why? Because they have accepted Krishna as factor. So despite he has material attachment, despite he has material desire, still he is considered to be devotee by the Lord. So this is what Prabhupada is so wonderful. He has encompassed all these Sakama Karma Yogis, Nishkama Karma Yogis, Jnana Yogi, everybody into the Buddhi Yogi. These are all people into the fold of devotees only. As soon as one accepts Krishna, he is a devotee. Although he may have other tendencies. He may have tendencies for material enjoyment. He may have tendencies for knowledge. He may have different tendencies for yoga, this and that. He is a devotee. Although he may not be pure devotee, but he is a devotee. He is nevertheless far greater, such a devotee, he is nevertheless far greater than those who take the step-by-step approach, and more fortunate because he has acknowledged the ultimate goal, and therefore he will, by steady and appropriate practice, gradually advance in a way that appears parallel to other practitioners, but in fact not. For example, a devotee who practices Sakama Karma Yoga will gradually have his material attachments loosened by his performance of appropriate practices. That is also true it is also true of the non-devotee Sakama Karma Yogi. So even Sakama Karma Yogi who is not a devotee, but still he will also see that his material attachments will lose. But a devotee still have a better advantage than non-devotee Sakama Karma Yogi. A devotee Sakama Karma Yogi is far superior because he has began to aspire for the highest goal. He knows what is the highest goal, and he has keeping that highest goal in mind, and in this way he has got right understanding, and that's why a devotee Sakama Karma Yogi is better. Sakama Karma Yogi means one still has desire for material enjoyment despite practicing devotional service. So, but a non-devotee Sakama Karma Yogi on the although he is also on the transcendental path, yes, his material attachments are also getting loosened, but he may never reach the understanding of the highest goal of life. Therefore, he may never reach the highest rung of the yoga ladder. He may remain stuck up over there. Why? Because he may think that this is all in all. That's the ultimate thing. Additionally, when one proceeds in a step-by-step fashion, his advancement is limited by his own capacities. How much he can go ahead, it depends on his own capacities. On the other hand, one who sets Krishna's service as the goal attains the mercy of Krishna and the Vaishnavas. And in this way, it supports that person throughout his spiritual journey. So in this way, non-devotee, although he may be on the he may also be on the yoga ladder of transcendence, but he faces these two difficulties. First difficulty is he may never understand what is the highest rung of the ladder, that is bhakti. He may never come to this goal because it takes many lifetimes. It is a very slow process. So bahunam, even somebody like, for example, Jnana Yogi. So further verse is there, right? Bahunam Janmanam Yante Jnanavan Man Prapadyate. After many millions of lifetimes, one may understand that Krishna is supreme, and he understands that let me surrender to Krishna. On the other hand, a devotee understands it from the beginning itself. Krishna is all in all. Similarly, a Sakama Karma Yogi may keep on doing long years and many lifetimes of Sakama Karma Yoga. Then he may come to the platform of Nishkama Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and finally Bhakti Yoga. It's an extremely long process. And sometimes they remain stuck up on that rung only, particular rung where they are in. Second problem, difficulty, a non-devotee Karma Yoga person who is ascending on the yoga ladder, who is not a devotee. Second is that he is limited by his own detachment, purity, and power to advance. He has to exert his own capacities. He is limited by his own detachment, by his own purity, his own power to advance. He doesn't get assistance of Krishna's mercy. So, in Chaitanya Charitamrut, Prabhupada, explain this 19.149 Madhya Leela. Prabhupada explains how a devotee only can become nishkama, desireless. So Prabhupada says, if one understands Krishna, he immediately becomes desireless, nishkam, because a Krishna Bhakta knows that his friend and protector in all respects is Krishna, who is able to do anything for his devotee. Krishna says, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Since Krishna gives this assurance, the devotee lives in Krishna and has no desire for personal benefit. The background for the devotee is all good himself. Why should the devotee aspire for something good for himself? His only business is to please the Supreme by rendering service as much as possible. Krishna Bhakta has no desire for his own personal benefit. He is completely protected by the Supreme. Avashya Rakshive Krishna Vishwasa Palan. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he is desireless because Krishna will give him protection in all circumstances. It is not that he expects any assistance from Krishna. He simply depends on Krishna just as a child depends on his parents. The child does not know how to expect service from his parents, but he always is protected nonetheless. This is called a nishkama, desireless. Although karmis, jnanis, and yogis fulfill their desires by performing various activities, they are never satisfied. A karmi may work very hard to acquire millions of dollars, but as soon as he gets $1 million, is he satisfied? No, he wants another $1 million. Even if he becomes the topmost, richest personality in the whole world, will he be, we can ask him, are you satisfied now? You have become richest? He says, no, I have to maintain my next year also. Year after year, I want to become richest person in this world. So he is never satisfied. So there is no end of desires. How many, How many, what stage when it will come that all the desires are satisfied? Because desires are unlimited and one keeps on satisfying them. There is no end only. It will go on and on and on. And on the other hand, more and more desires also come. ऐसे नहीं कि एक 100 desires है, चलो वो fulfill कर दिया तो हो गया काम. ऐसा नहीं है, वो 100 का 200 भी होता है, 500 होता है, 1000 होते रहता है. Isn't it? The more karmi gets, the more he desires. Now, so this is the stage of karmi. Now, Gyani, he also cannot be desireless because his intelligence is unsound. The Gyanis want to merge into Brahman effulgence, but even though they may be raised to that platform, they cannot be satisfied there. There are many Gyanis or sannyasis who give up the world as false. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, they say, right? This world is, false. So they want to give up this world. But even after taking sannyas, they return to world to engage in politics or philanthropy, social service, or to open schools and hospitals. So although they have come to the stage of understanding that this material world is a mithya, they think like that, but still they cannot remain situated on that platform because within that the desire to do activity is there, and in this way they engage into some social welfare work. So this means that they could not attain the real Brahman, Brahma Satyam, they could not attain. They are saying that this material world is mithya, but still they are becoming too much active in this material world. So that means they have not come to the stage of Brahma Satyam. They have to come down to the material platform to engage in philanthropic activity. Thus, they again cultivate desires, and then these desires are exhausted. They desire something different. Therefore, the Jnani cannot be Nishkama or desireless. Nor can the yogis be desireless, for they desire yogic perfection in order to exhibit some magical feats and gain popularity. So, they want to show some magic, right? Yoga siddhis. So people gather around these yogis, and the yogis desire more and more adulation. They want, oh, I want more and more popularity. See, by magic, so many people are getting impressed. I'm getting so much of fame. And in this way, because they misuse their mystic power, they fall down again onto material platform. It is not possible for them to become nishkama, desireless. So Prabhupada says in this Chaitanya Charitamrita purport, the conclusion is that only the devotees who are simply satisfied in serving the Lord can actually become desireless. Therefore, it is written, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. Since Krishna Bhakta, the devotee of Krishna, is satisfied with Krishna, there is no possibility of fall down. Thus, by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, no one can become bewildered and mistake a rung upon yoga ladder as the goal. So one understand what is the highest goal. The goal is to surrender to Krishna and become Krishna's Bhakta, devotee. Srila Prabhupada, he very mercifully and expertly synthesized the commentaries of previous acharyas with his own realized words and created fully relevant purports for the worldwide audience of Bhagavad Gita readers. Srila Prabhupada revealed Krishna's actual desire for the conditioned soul, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, that he abandoned all false forms of religion and surrendered to him. Why should we remain incomplete, fixed at one level of the elaborate Vedic system, when we can achieve the same system's full purpose by easy step of surrendering to Krishna? Isn't it? If there is an easy step available, so then why should one remain stuck up at one of the level of Vedic system? By writing Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada clearly proved that the Lord's devotee is even more merciful than the Lord. So, in order to summarize, what is a Vedic system? The lowest rung, who are not in the yoga ladder, the lowest people in this world are 2-3 types. One is one who is doing sinful activities. He is also on the lowest this thing. Another person is simply materially absorbed in and same propensities as animalism. And third person is who may renounce in order to enjoy himself. He just renounced but for the sake of enjoyment. He doesn't want to do any work, but he simply wants to enjoy. So these people are not in the yoga ladder. So certainly a person who is working at least he is better than one who doesn't work at all or who performs sinful activities. At least such a person who is doing some kind of work, karma is better. Now, better than a person who is working in this way is a person who does some kind of welfare activities for others, social welfare activities for others, who does something, works for some others' benefit, on a material scale, without any reference to Vedas or anything also, is at least little better because he comes out of his own selfish propensities. But who comes on the yoga ladder, first stage of yoga ladder is a Karmakandiya person. What is Karmakandiya person? Means although he wants to enjoy in this material world, but he accepts the shelter of Vedas and try to act according to Vedas. He tries to act according to Vedas, and that's why he becomes Karmakandiya. And in this way, he gets his enjoyment by either getting better material situations in this material world, or like people do, various types of pujas and all for the sake of better material facilities in this material world. So in this way, this Karmakandiya person is also should be appreciated. Why? Because he has at least come under Vedic fold. He is not independently trying to enjoy. Although he is on the lowest rung of yoga ladder, but he at least has reached to the place of yoga ladder. Now, so this Karmakandiya person, he may further realize that, there is some goal, because only material life cannot give me happiness. So better, work for some higher goal. So he comes to the stage of Sakama Karma Yogi and then Nishkama Karma Yogi, wherein person tries to work but tries to become detached from the fruits of the work. Eventually, when person is completely detached from the fruits of the work, even he understands that even the working itself, causes some kind of bondage, or working itself is a kind of personal desire. So in this way, when one gives up even the desire to work in a particular way, and he cultivates fully the knowledge, and he dedicates himself to knowledge, such a person is called as Jnana Yogi. And then eventually through Jnana, through cultivation of knowledge, he understands there is a Supreme, and he engages into meditation of Supreme. Such a person is called as Dhyana Yogi or Ashtanga Yogi. And eventually, when one realizes that the goal of such Ashtanga Yoga practice is Supreme Lord Vishnu, or in his fullest extent, he is Krishna, then one reaches the highest rung of the yoga ladder, that is called as Bhakti Yogi. He becomes a Bhakti Yogi. So this is a step-by-step yoga ladder. Now, one may say, but Prabhupada तो पूरा purport में तो पूरा भक्ति 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 बोल रहे, surrender to Krishna, ये वो कहाँ yoga ladder Prabhupada बोल रहे purport में. So don't think Prabhupada is going wrong. There is, in order to reach to the topmost floor of any building, there are two ways. Can you say what are the two ways to reach to the topmost floor of any building? Suppose there is 100
Stairs and elevator.
Elevator and
there is a stairs and there are elevator. Now one can go step by step. One can climb one step, second step, third step, and go slowly go. So this yoga ladder is that step by step process to come to the 100-story building. How tiring it will be, right? We have to walk 100-story building, go step by step. It will be very tiring. But there is a way of taking an elevator. So elevator, you can take a lift and directly reach faster. Now, even though now one has climbed into the elevator from the ground floor, doesn't mean that immediately getting into the elevator one is on the 100th floor. It is not like that. One also goes through those stories, various stories or various floors. One goes through, but one passes through them quickly. So that means when one takes to devotional service, so devotional service to Krishna is that elevator process. So even though one may take to devotional service, still one may not become immediately pure. So, because it's not that as soon as we enter into the elevator, lift में आने के बाद तुरंत 100 फ्लोर पे बैठ जाता है, ऐसा नहीं है, उसको भी टाइम लगता है. So in this way, even if one becomes devotee, immediately one will not become free from all material attachments. Immediately one will not become free from all the fruits of material life also. One will not become free from all material desires. But if one remains into the left, then slowly what will happen? One will pass through these stages of sakama karma, karma kanda, sakama karma, this, that. Slowly will become free from the tendency to enjoy the fruits. Slowly one will become attached, develop, slowly one will become detached from the work itself, and eventually he will develop that transcendental realization, and will come to the platform of pure devotional service. So one has to but remain into that lift or elevator of devotional service. Then everything will take place. So utsahat, nishchayat, dhairyat, all three things are important. One should also have patience, not that immediately सब कुछ चाहिए, immediately शुद्ध भक्त बनना चाहिए, immediately सारे material desire जाना चाहिए. No, material desires may remain, but slowly they'll go. So this is the elevator process. So now one may either take a step-by-step process, which is a yoga ladder, or one may take a elevator process. So Prabhupada very mercifully has in the purport given us the elevator process. That's why Prabhupada tries to integrate everything in devotional service. जो भी कृष्णा बोलते हैं योगा लैडर का जो भी स्टेप बाय स्टेप प्रोसेस बताया है प्रभुपाद उसको इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हैं भक्ति में. Accept Krishna, even further you will see, although Krishna is recommending to worship demigods, Prabhupada says ultimately what is the purpose of worshipping demigods? The ultimately even demigods receive everything from Krishna only. So better worship Krishna. So is this way Prabhupada is again trying to put a person into elevator process of devotional service. So that's the advantage. So one can take a elevator process and become a devotee. And as Burijan Prabhu very beautifully explained, it was a very beautiful purport by Burijan Prabhu, which clears off many things. So a devotee, he can go through this process, and in meanwhile he gets a lot of mercy from devotees and Krishna, and in this way he can quickly reach to the highest platform. So quickly means what? Not within 1-2 days or 5-6 years. Quickly means maybe it may take this entire lifetime. But whereas the other person who goes by step, he may take hundreds of lifetimes. So what is one lifetime, in compared to hundreds of lifetime, isn't it? So in this way, a devotee is very much at the beneficial stage. That's why Bhagavatam mentions akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purushah param. Even though you are full with material desires, you are all types of material desires to enjoy. Even if one is desiring liberation or one has no desire except to serve Krishna, all these categories of people should take to devotional service. That is beneficial. So Prabhupada also, that's why gives this elevator process. Another thing, feature is also in Kali Yuga, even to follow this step by step is also very difficult. To follow really karma kanda is not so easy. How many people we find in this material world nowadays in the modern society who can actually follow karma kandiya process? They actually refer, like in Maharashtra there are so many Ganpati worshippers, but are they referring to Mudgal Purana or something like that, to worship Ganpati? They hardly refer. So that is not karma kandiya process, right? That's not a karma kanda. They are just doing some kind of worship, but that is not a karma kanda. Karma kanda means one has to follow the process given in for particular worship of that demigod also. Even if one wants to worship demigod, one should worship demigod in a particular way. So that's what is important factor. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially, he's such a merciful personality that he saw that people in Kali Yuga cannot take to this step-by-step process. So better give them elevator, because Kali Yuga ke jeev itne bechare already thake hai, already so weak they are. What karma kanda they will follow, what yajnas they will do, they're already so weak. They don't have very strong desire also to elevate themselves to the spiritual perfection. They feel material life is the best thing. So better give them some elevator by which उनको लिफ्ट दे दो. उतना स्ट्रांग भी नहीं है ये लोग कि चढ़ पाएंगे स्टेप बाय स्टेप. उनको लिफ्ट देके हाईएस्ट रंग पे पहुंचा दो. So this is the great causeless mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this science was propagated by Prabhupada everywhere. And although in the lowest rung, even those who were not in the rung of any yoga ladder, in fact, they were vikarmis, in the most sinful people, could board this elevator, and in this way, it is only the matter of time that if they continue to remain in this elevator lift, it is only the matter of time that they'll reach to the highest platform. If a person continues to remain in devotional service, irrespective of how much conditioned he is, irrespective of what type of material desires he has, if one continues to render devotional service, what will happen? He'll eventually become pure devotee. Okay, so let us take 10th verse. So this here, it ends the section of Krishna telling Nishkama Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga for Arjun. I'll answer the questions, but we will like to take at least one verse because we are not gone ahead today much in discussing these things. But I felt that this was an important thing to explain. So in this way, Krishna suggested that working for Lord without desire for results, Karma Yoga, is better for Arjun than his premature renunciation of the work, Jnana Yoga. Now, Krishna is telling Arjun, but if you are not free from desire for the results of action, then you should still perform the actions with desire. Don't give up actions in themselves. You can perform actions with desire. So rather than giving up actions completely. So in this way, now from 10th chapter to 10th verse to 16th verse is the third section of this chapter, which is going to describe Karma Kanda. And from Karma Kanda, how to come to the platform of Karma Yoga. This is what Krishna is going to describe, some Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga process. So this gist of this section is that Krishna has designed this material world to encourage yajna or sacrifice. So Krishna does so by making material advancement depend on the sacrifice. In order to enjoy materially, one has to perform sacrifices. So by worshipping the Lord for material well-being, one also becomes parallelly purified. Okay, so please recite 10th verse.
Rasarasi Prabhu.
सह यज्ञा प्रजा सृष्ट्वा
सह यज्ञः प्रजा सृष्ट्वा
पुरोवाच प्रजापति
पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः
अनेन विजस्वम्
अनेन प्रसविष्यत्वम्
ईशवोत्तिष्व कामदु
एषवोऽस्व इष्टकामधुक्.
In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yajna, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation."
Yeah. So now this is beginning of Karma Kandiya section. So Krishna says that one gains happiness by yajna. So long before Vishnu, who is the Lord of our creatures, Prajapati, he created population along with sacrifices. Along with creation, sacrifices were also given. And in this way, Krishna said that you can remain happy in this material world by these sacrifices and also attain to the stage of liberation through these sacrifices. So Prabhupada says in the purport that this material creation by the Lord is a chance for conditioned souls to go back to Godhead. So ultimate goal is to go back to Godhead. But at the same time, in this material world, souls are conditioned by material nature because they have forgotten Vishnu. So now Vedic principles are there to help us understand this eternal relationship. But person cannot immediately understand this eternal relationship, and he immediately cannot take to the process of pure devotion. So that's why there is a process of yajnas is given, so that gradually one will realize his relationship with Supreme Lord. And ultimately the goal of all Vedas is to learn Krishna, to know Krishna. So Veda ischa sarvair ahameva vedya. So the purpose of that's why creation is what? Purpose of creation is that conditioned soul learn how to perform sacrifices. for the satisfaction of Vishnu, so that they can remain comfortably situated in material world. Even in material world, they can remain happy relatively without anxiety. And after finishing the material body, they can get into the kingdom of God. So the process of Vedic system is remain happy in this material world, at the same time go to the spiritual world. At least relatively happy. One cannot become absolutely happy, but one can remain relatively more happier in this material world, and at the end of life go to the spiritual world. That's the program of the Vedas. So on the other hand, if one does not perform sacrifices, neither one can remain actually happy in this material world, nor one can get liberation after this giving up this body. So Prabhupada says, but in Kali Yuga, Sankirtan Yajna is recommended in the scriptures, which was introduced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for delivering all the people of this age. And that's why Prabhupada is quoting Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Panga Sraparshadam Yajni Sankirtana Prayir Yajantihi Sumedasaha. Why? Because the other yajnas which are mentioned in the Vedas are not so easy to be performed in Kali Yuga. Where are those Brahmanas who can perfectly chant mantras? Even the availability of ingredients is very difficult, isn't it? So in this way, it is difficult to perform other yajnas in Kali Yuga. That's why Sankirtan yajna is easy and sublime. It can elevate one to the highest platform for all purposes. That's what Prabhupada is saying. So, all right, one can stop. We can stop here with this verse. And tomorrow we will continue. So now we can go a little faster tomorrow onwards, maybe because some Karma Kandiya section is there. So which, Okay, so I'll take up some questions now. How Krishna will get satisfied from our work? Yeah, so when we work, first of all, we have to okay, this question, it seems to be, there is a philosophical understanding, and it is in terms of our present situation. Now, how Krishna becomes satisfied with one's work? First of all, we have to do prescribed duty according to Varnashrama. If one performs prescribed duties according to Varnashrama, and then understands that this Varnashrama's goal is Lord Vishnu, and in this way one acts for the pleasure of Vishnu, or one performs one's prescribed duties for the pleasure of Vishnu, then Vishnu is pleased. Performing prescribed duties for the pleasure of Vishnu means what? The results of our activities should be offered for Vishnu. That's why there are various recommendations that one should give some charity, or one should engage one's talents in the Lord's service, like that. For example, a Brahmana who performs his prescribed duties, but he offers whatever he gets for yajna, sacrifices, and for glorification of Vishnu. Similar, Kshatriya, what Kshatriya will do? He will also encourage, he will build temples, he will make systems and administration so that people can worship Lord Vishnu. So that's why one of the chief activity of a Kshatriya or a king was to build temples for the worship of the Lord. In fact, one of the devotee, he recollects that in his childhood, this is maybe just 70-80 years back, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj writes in his book, The Glimpses of Vedic Traditional Life. In that, one of the devotee, he recollects that every village would have a temple. And as soon as people would get up, what they would do? They would do their morning duties, take a bath, and go to temple. So they would go to temple, they would attend some arti over there, take some charanamrut, take darshan of the Lord, and then they would spend entire day in their job. Whatever job, school, college, or for Mataji's household works. And evening, again, when their job and all was over, they would all gather together in temple to hear some Ramayana, Mahabharat, Bhagavatam Katha. In this way, they were very peaceful and happy in their material life, as well as they were very happy in the spiritual life. So it is a Kshatriya's duty, to arrange for this kind of things. He should make systems by which the people will take to Vishnu worship or worship of the Lord. Similarly, Vaishya can also offer fruits of his activities by giving lot of charity. He gives charity for temples, for Brahmanas, for protection of cows and all that. And in this way, he uses his money, and Shudras, they render various types of services. So some Shudras may help in construction, some may help in, uh, carpentry, some may help in, making pots. So in this way, everybody is engaged in the service of Lord. So they perform their duties according to Varnashrama. At the same time, they offer the results of their activities for the Lord. So they work for the Lord also. So for example, somebody may be pot maker. Now he may earn also through pot making. At the same time, he makes pots for the Lord. And or he may give some of the pots he has made for the Lord. So in this way, the fruits of our activities are engaged in the Lord service. And now, so this is a Vedic system, how to please Lord Vishnu. Now, apart from that, in our day-to-day life, how our work will be pleasing to Lord Vishnu. So first step is that some fruits of our activities should be engaged for the service of Vishnu. So one should engage the results of our work, whatever work is doing, whether job or business or studies, that should be engaged for the service of Vishnu. For example, somebody who is in student, so he should study nicely, but when he gets a good result, he should also induce others that see, others will also come to him. Oh, you have got such good results, So then he should tell them about Krishna, and he should induce them to the path of devotional service. So in this way, he is satisfying Lord Vishnu with his work. Similarly, a working devotee should give donations and charity for, Krishna consciousness. A businessman should give charity, and in this way. So apart from this, a devotee should also render some direct service to Krishna also. So he should practice devotional service, and he should render direct service to Krishna, whatever is possible according to his time availability. So one also should offer the fruits of one's activities to Krishna. At the same time, one should give some direct service to Krishna also. Means what? One can render some service by cleaning the temple, or dressing the deities, or preaching Krishna consciousness, or distributing books, or going for Harinam Sankirtan, or doing prasadam serving to Vaishnavas. So in this way, one should engage into some direct service to the Lord also. So that way Krishna becomes pleased with our work. So offer the fruits of our work to Krishna, and also try to render some direct service to Krishna. That will please our work. So in this way, Krishna will become satisfied with our work. Is that all right, Ankush Prabhu? If he's there, I hope this question was this much only, or I don't know if there is.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah. Then, in another question is, in this verse 3.9, Krishna is talking about Nishkama Karma or Bhakti. Not able to understand the difference. What is the difference between Nishkama Karma and Bhakti? Okay. Nishkama Karma person is attached to work, whereas a Bhakta is not attached to work. Bhakta is ready to do anything for Lord. So more or less it is Nishkama Karma only being talked about. Bhakta means आप मुझे टॉयलेट क्लीनिंग करने के लिए दो या लेक्चर देने के लिए दो, दोनों एक सेम एंथुसियाज्म से करेंगे, वो भक्ता है. That is Bhakti Yoga. Nishkama Karma Yoga means I want to do this particular service only for the Lord. That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Why does Krishna says that tadartham, work for him, Vishnu, not directly me, Krishna? Oh, there is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu. So Krishna is also humble personality, he is a gentleman. Krishna is basically a gentleman. A gentleman never wants to boast and show off himself. And Krishna is the supremely gentleman. So sometimes out of desperateness, Krishna directly talks about himself, that you just surrender unto me. But in general, Krishna maintains this decorum, that he doesn't too much boast about himself. It is only Arjun inquires from him. That's why Krishna tells about some of his opulences in the 7th, 8th, 9 chapters, 7th and 8th chapters. But otherwise, Krishna is a very gentlemanly person. He too much, sometimes he may talk directly that you please surrender unto me. Sometimes he doesn't talk directly like that, because there are people who may not want to surrender to him. Okay, you may try to get the path of impersonal Brahman or Paramatma realization also. What is the difference between Karmi and Karma Yogi? Karmi is a person who acts according to Varnashrama propensities, but he doesn't know the goal of transcendence, and in this way, he simply keeps on doing his prescribed duties according to Varnashram. That is called as Karmi. But unko, he doesn't include spiritual life into it. He may perform various sacrifices, this, that, but he doesn't. So this is the definition of Karmi. What is the difference between Jnani and a Jnana Yogi? Again, same. Jnani may simply keep on speculating on various things, but he doesn't include Supreme Lord. So wherever the Supreme Lord is, yoga means to connect. To connect to whom? Connect to Supreme. So when there is a connection to Supreme, that becomes yoga. If there is no connection to Supreme, then it becomes no yoga over there. You gave the analogy of elevator and stairs and mention a point that in elevator also there are going to be some phases as mentioned in the ladder, but it is little faster. So if someone going with very fast speed though through elevator process, it is very risky. Like he create hatred for other people, or there is a chance of being pretender. So how to save from this attitude? Yes. So that's why there is a discussion. If Prabhupada is giving us yoga ladder, then why Prabhupada is giving us the elevator, then why should we study this Bhagavad Gita yoga ladder at all? Karo na Hare Krishna jap karo or be perfect. Why we are studying Bhagavad Gita at all? Is it that for a devotee it is not required to study Bhagavad Gita? No. So that's why Bhagavad Gita should be studied by devotees and understand these various rungs of yoga ladder, so that one develops respect for other yoga ladder people also. Even though some may be karma yogi, karma kandi, somebody may be jnana yogi, somebody may be sakama karma yogi, somebody may be nishkama karma yogi, somebody may be ashtanga yogi. He deserves to be appreciated because at least he is on yoga ladder. He is much better than those who are not at all in yoga ladder process. So in this way one should respect other yoga ladder process. Now devotee doesn't develop hatred for others. In fact, those who are not within yoga ladder, he develops compassion for them and he tries to elevate them also. Then there is a chance for becoming pretender. Yeah, there is a chance of becoming pretender. Actually, I don't know what is your definition of a pretender. If one is referring to that mithyachari, so that's why last time also this question was there, that we are also having so many material attachments and so many material desires, but we are also posing ourselves as devotee. Then is every sadhaka is a pretender? Not necessarily. If one is purposefully hunting for sense objects while showing himself as a renunciate, then he may be pretender, mithyachari. But otherwise, even though one may be practicing devotional service, but still he may have some material attachments. He may still have some material desires. So one may fulfill those material desires in the realm of devotional service. For example, somebody says that I want to become a very rich man. It is not forbidden. One can become a rich man, but one should serve devotees. One should support Krishna consciousness to his riches. And in this way, one is within the fold of devotional service only. One is within the elevator. So one may become a very rich man, but one should not enjoy all his riches. If one uses his riches to propagate Krishna consciousness, to serve devotees, to serve temple, in this way, one can fulfill one's material desire also, and one also avoids becoming pretender, and at the same time, one can progress in devotional service. So like that. Similarly, if one has sex desire, one can get married, and one can also come to the platform of devotional service, come practice devotional service per so there is no problem. So in this way one can avoid becoming pretender. So I hope this answers whatever I could answer. All right, Anil Prabhu, if you are there.
Yes, brother. Thank you, brother.
Okay, so we stop here. Thank you
Guruji?
very much. Yes, Prabhu.
Just one thing, just wanted to check that this karma kanda and sakam karma, that is there any difference between them also?
Karma kanda and karma is similar. Karma yoga and karma kanda. See, there is actually the Vedic word karma refers to kind of karma kanda only. There is a very little difference. But Sakama Karma Yoga is a person who is engaged in transcendental cultivation, but he is ready to little bit part from his fruits. Means what? A Karma Kandi person, what he says, I'll work, I'll perform work according to Vedic system, and all the results I'll enjoy myself. So suppose I become, I get, I perform yajnas and I perform various types of worship for becoming a rich man. Then he says, after I become rich man, that whole riches I will enjoy. Whereas a Sakama Karma Yogi, he says, no, I should not enjoy all the riches. I'll enjoy some riches I'll engage in Lord service or for transcendental purpose. So in this way, he is a Sakama Karma Yogi. Whereas Nishkama Karma Yogi is a person who says that, I will not enjoy anything for myself. I'll render service to Krishna only. So I'll do service to Lord, but I'll not enjoy any riches for myself. I don't want anything for myself through this. I want to give everything for Krishna. That is a Nishkama Karma Yogi. Is that all right?
Yes, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Very cool. So tomorrow we'll again continue. Thank you very much. So I hope this clears off, all the concepts of yoga ladder. Tomorrow, Shantanu Pro, if possible, if you are there, Shantanu Pro.
Yes, Guruji. Yes.
Tomorrow, if possible, you can just remind me. There was one more question devotee had asked. What is the position of brahmachari who has given up his duties?
Okay.
वो एक big question था. So we can clarify that up. Maybe you can ask it.
Okay.
In our ISKCON society, there are brahmacharis who have given up their duty, wherein here Krishna is saying that don't give up your prescribed duties. Right. So what is the position of such a person?
Okay, Guruji.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai
Yeah.
Shri
Thank you,
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Puri.